Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World War II, World at War. It is late war, we're playing as the Axis, and it is May of 1946. We've begun our second invasion of England. This one looks much more promising, having taken Portsmouth and Plymouth. We've also begun an invasion of Australia, where we have gained sort of a big chunk of the north coast, threatening the east coast, and we're trying an end around to go straight for the capital of Australia. Probably make a landing in Canberra or maybe down near Melbourne. The Australians seem like they've stripped the majority of their troops away, but they may have detected this amphibious landing of ours, so... Oh, shit. There's a heavy cruiser out there. So they may have detected our invasion out here, and if they have, then that could be problematic. They may wipe this invasion out at sea, but we're trying to be sneaky, I guess. I mean, as long as they don't destroy the whole invasion fleet. I'm trying to end around because they've got a lot of troops in the north, and it's going to be a long slog to advance all the way on the capital, but if we can move down toward the capital and just take it, then we may take Australia real quickly. Additionally, even if they do respond to this and pull a bunch of troops out, then we may be able to advance rapidly on the capital as well in the north, so we'll see how that plays out. India, as I'm sure you all remember, has already fallen. North Africa has largely been retaken, and the Sudan has fallen, and we're threatening Ethiopia. We've retaken Italian East Africa, and the USSR has fallen. And that's my quick abbreviated summary. I know some of you guys have said, hey, you need to shorten those up. They're really long. You should do two turns per episode or whatever. I don't do 2 turns per episode because I don't want 50-plus minute episodes in general on this. But I do hear you on not needing to repeat everything, especially when we're like, episode 80 almost. So I'll just jump into the turn replay, and we'll see what happens here as we move toward June of 1946. I continue to forget about Norway. Not that I have the strength, really, to do much there. Some partisans in China. Axis raiders sink Allied merchantmen near Sydney. We'll see what these heavy cruisers do. I think we did some damage to the heavy cruiser on the northeast coast of Australia, so I don't know what the Allies have in easy reach of our invasion fleet here in the south. They definitely have 1 cruiser, but if that's all they have, you know, I don't know what they all have. Looks like they're moving that cruiser out of, was it Northampton, or whatever that northern coast of Australia was. Meanwhile, British counterattack in England, as to be expected. They didn't really do much there. It was just a 1-to-1 trade. They could probably swap out. I mean, the problem here is we're going to be marching through literally waves and waves of bodies as we try and take England. There's just so many units crammed onto such a relatively small island. Additionally, there's nothing that would prevent the Allies from counter-landing in our rear. So that's something we have to be mindful of. You can see a lot of naval activity here off the coast of England. The Americans still have at least 1 carrier in the Atlantic as well, operating off the eastern coast of England. Lots of air units are in the area, interceptors and other things like that. British cruisers operating in the Indian Ocean just wiped out a Japanese army at sea off the coast of India. We need to be mindful of the potential risk of a counter-invasion of India as well, maybe British basing out of Africa. An American battleship there, operating in the Atlantic, crossing the Atlantic, running into some of our submarines on the trade routes. The turns have gotten quite busy again. The AI turns have gotten quite busy as we're going for the throat. I think to win a major victory, we have to take England, knock England out of the war, and Australia. I think if we do both of those, we will win a decisive victory. I believe right now we have a major victory. But essentially, I think decisive victory means you take Moscow, you take Cairo in Egypt, you take Australia, you take India, and you take England, in addition to, obviously, France. And I think that's a decisive. I don't think there's anything beyond that. So, like, obviously, theoretically, you could invade the United States. But that being said, I don't think the victory levels change at all. There you see the Allied strategic bombers actually making a very smart move and hitting the port at Plymouth because that's where our supplies flow through. So that was an intelligent move by the AI there to potentially really threaten our supply line. And the tactical air is hitting our tanks very heavily at Portsmouth. They just wiped out a Panzer unit in Portsmouth. So I guess in one sense we sort of distracted them from the counterattack against our main landing force. But on the other hand, we just lost an armored unit. And now they're destroying a submarine here in port with ease, because it's in an enemy port, so you can basically have land units attack naval units when they're in a port that was captured. Nonetheless, one Panther just... Oh, shit. Alright, so their cruiser there. Oh, transports. No! We just lost the lead element of our invasion. 2 enemy cruisers intercepted that invasion force. Hopefully that's all we run into. We do have a couple of battleships down that area. We do have a carrier as well, if the weather permits, so that we can conduct flight ops. Enemy submarines. I don't think their subs can get to our invasion force fast enough to destroy it. Most of the subs are located in the Dutch East Indies area or around the Japanese home islands. So I think that's at least relatively safe. Also, I don't think the lead unit there is a headquarters unit, so I think that's also safe. I think the unit in the rear is the headquarters unit. Meanwhile, the Americans apparently have an army out in the middle of the outback. It keeps suffering attrition damage. Supply damage. Axis raiders sink Allied merchantmen near Sydney. Disrupting convoys. Alright, we need to try and destroy these British cruisers and open up a path for our landing force here. Okay. German motor torpedo boats are available. They can commission there. German heavy tanks. Alright, so we're going to go for Bristol, because Bristol is another enemy port, which if we take that will be all the better for our invasion. So we take Bristol, and now after taking Bristol, we're going to hit the units to the southeast of Bristol. Our mechanized troops will attack there. Nice. Headquarters unit moves forward there. Do I want to pull these guys back? These guys can't get over here. So I think I'd rather have armor defending against infantry there. We'll land at Portsmouth, so we'll take Portsmouth a second turn in a row. Suffer some landing casualties, apparently. Okay, so we've now expanded the beachhead. We are just 2 hexes away from London. Paratrooper in the rear, we're also going to prepare them. Where we've got more transport troops on transports, don't we? Field artillery. Why can't he come ashore? Why can't you come ashore? Klukler. Alright, we need to reinforce. Okay, so we'll move that mechanized unit ashore. I don't really need another headquarters unit ashore, but we'll bring them ashore anyway. Okay, so Bristol has fallen, which is another major British port here on the Irish Sea coast. We brought a mechanized unit ashore and an additional headquarters unit ashore, so help to buff up our supplies a bit. I guess we keep going with the amphibious long-range transports because it seems like they're kind of necessary. I actually haven't even used my air units yet. We achieved a lot with our ground units attacking, but we didn't actually do anything with our air units there. So I'm going to focus on this American armor here to the east of Portsmouth, hopefully to prevent them from retaking Portsmouth a second turn in a row. I guess we probably should have gone for their maritime strength, but my guys can't really reach there at the moment. Okay. More interceptors, more air battles, more bombing of American tanks. Tanks seem to be very vulnerable from airstrikes. Which I guess is, I mean, more vulnerable than infantry. That certainly seems to be borne out in the record. Alright, so we destroyed that armored unit. The Fliegerkorps. This is a maritime bomber. So for these guys, we're actually going to focus on the American destroyers over here. We should be able to hit them twice. Ooh, I want to get him. But I'm actually going to go for the destroyer there. See if we can destroy this destroyer here with our sub. We do lose some pretty heavy casualties, so we fall back to Brest to get reinforcements. Meanwhile, this sub is going to advance in the Irish Sea to try and hit this American transport. I'm not sure what it is. Gregor, oh, it's that American headquarter unit. Let's get the sub in there. Very nice. Got him! Alright, so that American sub, or that American transport was destroyed, as well as that American destroyer. Move our own destroyer over this way to engage the Canadian destroyers. This Canadian destroyer also does not appear to have any amphibious abilities. Or not amphibious, sorry, anti-submarine abilities. We also have an American battleship over this way, which we're going to hit with our subs. Oh no! 4-2 against. Okay. We'll pull him back. So I don't have enough to destroy either the Canadian destroyer or the American battleship. But I did badly maul the American battleship, at least. None of these bombers can reach. Let's try and knock these American tactical air out. I would go for the American headquarters unit, but or the British headquarters unit, but given they're operating in their home country, their supply is going to be pretty good anyway because they're so close to all these cities. So that's why I'm not really focusing on that. Okay, I guess we can now that we've destroyed the other unit we were going for. Be nice to know how strong they are, though. These medium bombers aren't really doing anything. Really? Did we already strike? Oh, we already struck with them. Alright. So I think that mainly does it for the Germans here. We'll see how the Allied counterattack continues, how heavy they hit us with their air. Again, we know the armored units are more vulnerable to air, but we have gotten some reinforcements ashore. We've taken Southampton for a second time. We have a second headquarters unit ashore here. And, you know, we'll just have to see how it all plays out. If we actually look at the reports here, British strength 44. I don't think that's really dropped at all. What about the British national morale? Now that we have soldiers on the British, we're down to 33%. MPP casualties are vastly outstripping income. Income isn't really falling at all, though, despite the cities that we're taking. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and can we reinforce some of our fighter aircraft? So we'll do that. Okay. Reinforce where we can anyway. All right. So that's that. Yeah. I mean, there's open hexes here. We could land more troops, but I don't have any landing craft. Yeah. Damn it. All right. Well, that's that. So that's the situation on the British invasion. You know, this headquarter unit will come ashore around. These guys are out of supply, but they'll move in and take Fez. The city should also give them supply. They'll damage that American unit there as well. Why can't these guys advance along the railway? I'm confused. Alright, there's supplies going up. Nice. Can we finish it off? Yes, we can. Ethiopia falls. Or it should. These guys will move on Berba next turn. These guys will move this way. We'll move the headquarters unit closer to make sure they're in supply. And yeah, I don't think there's any partisans anywhere in Africa. Probably not going to have African partisans when you consider they're already subjects. I mean, you're replacing one country that's conquered your territory with another. Okay, so there's that. Like, I don't know what to do with these Germans now that we've pulled them back. Wouldn't be a bad idea once we take Berba to move them that way. Landings. Okay. Nice. Trying to take Trikamali, or however you pronounce that. Move these guys closer to German and Axis territory. Meanwhile, how's the supply situation for these guys? Not great. But I think it's actually better than the Americans operating in Australia. This armored unit in Northern Australia also not so great. And we destroyed the armored unit in Northern Australia. Huzzah! Alright, so he's dead. Okay. Alright, so we've got that headquarters unit arriving in Australia as well. Hopefully that helps the supply situation. Armored units also arriving in Northern Australia. Meanwhile, in the southern Pacific, that British cruiser is destroyed. Very nice. Okay. This British cruiser, can we destroy it also? Nice. Or I guess it's a New Zealand cruiser, actually, by the looks of it. And we've landed near Sydney. Tagachi, the headquarters unit's landing there. So we've landed in southern Australia near Canberra. I probably shouldn't have landed there. I should have landed at Melbourne. That would have been the smart thing. But I'm assuming they have troops there, right? I guess I can't see that far inland because there's the port between us and them. But if we had interdicted between their capital and Australia, we would have run into supply issues. So that's kind of, I guess, as good as we could hope. Okay. Guess it's raining on these guys, so they can't bomb from over there. Oh, nice. So we've got an armored unit ashore as well. At least we took Sydney. This guy can't quite get far enough. He's a headquarters unit, though, so I'd rather not risk him. So let's move him cautiously along the northern New Guinea coast. Alright, so we'll bomb Brisbane a little bit with our carrier there. Actually, what's that do to naval ships here? The British are now down to 10. The Americans have 31. So the Americans are regaining a little bit of their strength. Japanese rebuild these guys. Rebuild that destroyer. All right, so okay. So we've got troops advancing through central Australia down toward Alice Springs. We have a second headquarter unit ashore. We've got some air units here. I'm assuming the bulk of these troops will rail south toward Canberra and establish a wall between us and them. But that should make conquering the rest of Australia pretty quick and painless. At least that's got to be the hope. Yeah, I don't think I have much else to do this turn. I got a Canberra so we can reinforce him easily. Can we rail this guy somewhere? We can. Nice. We'll rail that unit from Cairo south. Nice. I love me some railroads. They're loads of fun. Some railroads protecting our trade. All right. So all right. Now I think we're about done. The invasion of England continues. The invasion of Australia continues. More naval victories, this one against the Commonwealth forces. The British morale is lower. It's down to 32. Hopefully we will knock them out of the war with the fall of London. The American morale is plummeting. They're down to 42%. They don't apparently like what's going on either. They actually lost a lot of value this turn. I'm not trying to remember what it was all from. What units did they lose? They lost some portion of a battleship. What did they lose? I guess they lost a headquarters unit. Like, I don't know. Anyway, they lost 52,810 MPPs worth of units so far. They have collected more than that in income, though. The British have lost 54,000. What did the Russians lose? 54,000. The French lost a piddly 3,000. China lost 31,000. Australia has lost 17. Oh my God, look at this. That was a bad turn. Or that was Canada, sorry. Meanwhile, Germany has lost 59,000, actually more than any of the allies by themselves. Huh. Interesting statistics there. In any event, the situation is interesting, and we'll see how things play out. Actually, it is still May of 46, so we'll see how things play out next time as we kind of speed to the conclusion of this war, and we hopefully speed toward London. Until next time, however, as long as the weather holds and our bombers continue to hit their targets, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.